Hey friends, it's Steven with Leviathan Snakes, and for this week's video, we want to talk about collaborative breeding projects. Maybe you are considering a collaborative breeding project right now, and if so, what we want to do is we want to talk about our experiences with it, kind of talk about everything that happened for our collaborative breeding projects that we did for the 2022 season. In addition to our projects, we also want to give some various tips and guidelines and just kind of things that you might want to keep in mind if you are deciding to go in on a breeding project with somebody else. Anyways, we hope you enjoyed the video. If you do, please like, comment, subscribe, and let's get to it.
With this collaboration, we paired our sunset male to two of Troy's females, an ultramel female and a desert ghost pastel inchy chocolate female. And the reason that this project worked this collaboration worked so well for all of us is that we didn't have any ultramel, we didn't have any desert ghost, and at the time Troy had no sunset. So this allowed us to get into projects, and it allowed Troy to get into a project and work on double heads for all of us. Both females also gave a very good number of eggs, and so we both have a good little head start in these projects due to the collaboration.
We were at Daytona in 2021, and I think we were having breakfast with him, and he was talking about, as we were talking about our pairings for the 2022 season, about wanting to get some het sunsets from us, het sunset females, because we were in the project, it was something that he was interested in and whatnot. And I think I had made a comment saying that if he had a female that he wanted to pair, like we'd be open to a collaborative breeding project. And he was like, oh, that sounds really cool. And we ended up talking about it more, and we ultimately decided that we were not going to do just one female that he was going to pair to our visual sunset male. Instead, he was going to do two. And we ended up we had various different ideas and whatnot, but we ended up settling on an ultramel female and a pastel inchy chocolate desert ghost female. And I think that doing the two clutches was really, really good for both of us because a couple different things on it. But one is the higher the number of eggs that you have, the more likely that you are going to get a 50-50 split on like gender odds. So when you're doing a collaborative breeding project like this, for the most part, because they're all going to be double het sunset ultramel or double het sunset DG, you want the females. The females are worth way more money than the males are, even though the males are very, very important. And because of that, whoever gets the majority of the females is going to get a higher value if you're looking at the split from a financial aspect. So having two clutches of them gave us better odds to make sure that we all got ample amount of females for it.
Our boy Aries, if you haven't seen from all of our videos, he went to quite a few females this year, which made it difficult to have sent Aries up to Troy for him to keep and pair to his females. So instead, we housed his females here while they were breeding and locking. We paired him with them every 5th week because he was going to 5 females. So got several locks in with both of the females, and we actually thought that the ultramel female was not building at all.
And around March, our visual sunset male, he had gone off feed, and it had gotten to the point where we were going to pull him out of the rotation. And because we were pulling him out of the rotation and we were ultrasounding and whatnot, we did not see any follicles on the ultramel female. I think that they had been chilling at like 15 millimeters for like a while, and that's what we were seeing. So we ended up sending the ultramel female back to Troy so that way he could pair her to something else and hopefully still get a clutch from her whenever she ended up deciding to go. Well, maybe a month or so after we sent her back, Troy ultrasounded her and realized that she was at like 30 millimeter follicles. And we don't know if it was just I did a bad job ultrasounding, wasn't ultrasounding right, or if she just kind of exploded in growth in that like month or so. But anyways, she was at 30 millimeter follicles, and we decided to send our male, our sunset boy, up to him so that way he could lock her one last time, so hopefully she would get a good clutch. So we did that. Troy has Aries for about a month or so, and Troy got him to eat because he was off food, and that was awesome. We were super, super excited about that. So Aries locks with Kindle, the ultramel female, and then after he's been on food for a little bit, Troy sends him back. From this point, it is just waiting for the clutches to be laid. And we knew that Kendall was most likely going to go because she was over 30 millimeter follicles.
And then she gave us 10 big healthy eggs. So that was extremely exciting.
And this was awesome because it gave us a bunch of animals, a bunch of chances at males and females in order to really split the clutch. We knew that we were both going to get 5 snakes from this. And then when Crystal laid her clutch, this was before Kendall's clutch had hatched out, but maybe a month or so later. She laid 7 eggs. So in this situation, we already knew that one person was going to get an extra animal. They were going to have one, there wasn't going to be a 50-50 split on the amount of animals. So we had originally talked about various different things on how we were going to split it up. And we had talked about like very, very specific situations. And originally what we had said was that we were going to get the first pick of the females for the ultramale clutch, and Troy was going to get the first pick of the females on the Desert Ghost clutch. And who had picked, if there was an odd number of animals in one of the clutches, whoever had the second pick of the females was going to get the extra animal, because most likely it would have been a male, and that's how we would have gone down for it. But when the ultramale clutch all hatched out, we ended up getting 5 males and 5 females. So, given the fact that we were going to have the first female in this situation, we were going to get 3 females and 2 males. And then Troy was going to be left with 2 females and 3 males. But in this situation, Troy was going to have the first pick of the females in the Desert Ghost clutch, and there's only 7 eggs. That meant that no matter what, in this original situation that we had for it, was that we were going to get 3 double het Sunset Ultramale females, and we were going to get the extra egg in the double het Sunset Desert Ghost clutch. And Troy came up to us and he's like, hey, like, I don't actually think that this is still, like, if we continue on with this, that it's still 50-50. And I completely agreed with him. And I think that this is something else that you need to be aware of, is I think it's very smart to like have every single situation that you can possibly think of like written down, signed, so that way you can always reference it in the future if you're doing a collaborative breeding project. But you do need to be aware that there may be a situation that you hadn't planned for, and in that case, I think that it is really, really important to try to maintain the spirit of what the collaboration is, not necessarily the letter of exactly this is what the deal was. Because the letter of what our original deal was that we would have gotten the extra animal in the double het Sunset Desert Ghost clutch, but that was not the spirit of our collaboration. The spirit of our collaboration was a 50-50 split. So that is why we were like 100% Troy. Like he was 100% right. And when it came down to the Desert Ghost clutch, he ended up getting the extra animal, and it still worked out for both of us. It was still awesome. So when the Desert Ghost clutch all hatched out, there ended up being various different combos in them, but there were 4 double het Desert Ghost Sunset females, and there were 3 males. And really, the one snake, not necessarily the one snake, but the snake that I wanted the most out of it, we hit 2 of them. There was 2 chocolate inchy double het Desert Ghost Sunset males, so we were both able to get 1.
There's one female that I really wanted when I saw her. She is the chocolate double het Desert Ghost Sunset, and there was also, I mean, there were others. There was a pastel Enchi chocolate, and there were 2 Enchi chocolate females, but this chocolate female I thought was so beautiful, just the plain chocolate female. She's double het for Desert Ghost and Sunset, and I'm sure we're going to be pairing her to the double het male and everything, but it made me excited for chocolate because we don't have any other chocolate. So I held her back and named her Godiva. That was my pick of all of these animals because this is all Steven. You know, he's doing all of this.
From that clutch, we ended up getting the chocolate inchy double het male, the chocolate inchy double het female, and a chocolate double het female, and we were so happy. And then from the ultramale clutch, as a kind of recap, again, they were all normals in the ultramale clutch, but we had gotten 2 male double het Sunset Ultramale and 3 female double het Sunset Ultramales.
And our holdback rack is looking pretty big. Steven was looking at all of these spaces that we have, and he's like, so we have 18 open spots in the 55-40, and we have 21 holdbacks. And so, you know, right back to being short on space and looking at getting another ARS, but it is what it is. We'll just do it every year.
At the end of the day, it went really, really well for us. And we were super, super happy that we did the collaborative breeding project. And I think that there were some various aspects that made it really, really good for us. One, we already had that relationship with Troy. We were really good with communication back and forth. There was never a situation where one of us was waiting for an update and the other person wasn't communicating and kind of ghosting them. Because Troy was trusting us with amazing animals and animals that he had raised up from babies that he really, really cared for. So we wanted to make sure that he was super comfortable with that. And at a certain point, he had literally my favorite snake that we own, period, which is Aries. He had that at his place and was giving us amazing updates, got him to eat, and it worked out really, really well.
We've also had people reach out to us about like asking if we'd be interested in collaborating. And a lot of times it feels like what the people are asking is they have something specific that they want from us. And they ask if they can like do this collaboration, essentially like, oh, can I pair my male to one of your females? And I'll just take this if we get it. And then you can have everything else. And that's not something we are super interested in because we have very specific plans for all of our females. At least all of the females that we've ever we've ever had anyone reach out about. So it would actually like take away from us to pair those females to a male that wasn't worked into our plans.
I would say 9 times out of 10, the biggest issue is that it's not actually mutually beneficial. It's somebody who has let's say a clown male who wants to pair it to one of our females, and then when they say that for the split that they want the first 2 picks of the clutch, and then we can go 50-50 after that. And it's like, that's not a 50-50 split. It's not mutually beneficial, because why would we pair our female to your clown male when we compare our female to one of our clown males?
If we were to, for example, take our sunset leopard girl, if we were to pair her to a male, we couldn't have her entire clutch anymore. And we have plans for her. We have like 3 different males, which means 3 different years of her being paired. And if we were to, pair her to somebody else's male, that puts us back a season, and it also gets us less eggs than we could have gotten otherwise. So unless what they want to pair to her is something we couldn't get otherwise, and we want more than what we already have, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense for us to pair that female to somebody else's male.
In addition to the just not quite making sense on the individual pairing, a lot of people who have reached out to us about collaborative breeding projects are not people that we actually know. It does seem to be common for somebody who we've never actually talked to before to reach out to us and ask if we would be open to doing a collab with them. And realistically, we just are not comfortable with that. We don't want to be in a situation where it is going to make somebody else feel uncomfortable, or to be in a situation where we don't actually really know the other person that we're doing the collab with, and that they may get anxious, and potentially we run the risk of damaging our reputation if they feel like that they did not have a good experience.
So we have talked about things. I don't know that we would be interested in collaborating at all in the next couple years, just because we have such specific plans for all of our animals. And not only do we have specific plans this year, we also have their next year lined up. So it's like, well, if they don't go to this one this year, they'll have to go to that next year, and this is the backup. And if we time it just right, this male will be ready when this female is ready. So, we've kind of gotten it all worked out exactly how we want it. So I'm not gonna say we're never open to collaborating again, but even though we had a really great experience, it's not something we're really interested in at the moment.
So my final tips when it comes to a collaborative breeding project: 1, do it with somebody that you know, trust, and communicate well with. I think that it is bonus points if they are local, because if they're local, you can go to their place, you can see how they take care of their animals, and if there was ever a situation that you needed to pull out, you can just drive to their place and pick up your animal, or they could drive to your place and pick up their animal. And if you're trying to do a collab with somebody across the country, it's a completely different ball game, and you don't really have that option. You have to trust that the person would send your animal back in shipping, and if it's going south, that might not be something that they're willing to do. So I think collabs with people you know, that you trust, that you communicate well with, and are local. I think that that's the foundation things to making sure that's going to be a good collab. Make sure that it's mutually beneficial for both parties. Try to get it as 50-50 as possible. At least in my opinion, that's how it should be. If you're doing a true collab, not necessarily doing somebody a favor, because that's a different kind of situation. I think that beyond the mutually beneficial, beyond the knowing them, I think that even if you know them for a really long time, you should have everything part of your deal written out as much as you possibly can in as much detail as you can. You should know what's going to happen if there is an extra female, or if there's an extra male, or if there is just an extra animal altogether, like because it's an odd number clutch, or if you had an animal that did not thrive and it died before you actually split up the clutch, what happens then? I think that you should try to figure out every single particular type of situation that could arise. Breeders dying, animals going off feed and having to pull them from the rotation before an animal's fully fertilized. So I think all of these different things are things you should consider before you actually start on the collab, and you should have them written out. Once it's written out, that contract, if you want to say it like that, even if it might not be written up by lawyers, is like your ultimate law on this specific collab breeding. But I also think that it should have a kind of the intent of the collab, like the spirit of it that I described earlier was a 50-50 split with Troy and us, and try to do everything you can to maintain the spirit of the deal. And even if that requires changing the letter of the actual contract, I think that it will ultimately help you out and anybody that you're doing a collaborative breeding with. There are lots of horror stories when it comes to collab. I think that there is some very, I don't know if it's famous or anything like that, but there was a video done by Dark Cloud Reptiles talking about a collaborative breeding project that went horrible for him. I'm pretty sure that he lost like a ton of really, really amazing animals that he had raised up, and that there's just pretty much nothing that he could do. I will see if I can link the video in the description down below. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you do, please like, comment, subscribe, and we will see you next time.